Christopher West here, the Theology of the Body guy. Saving sex for marriage? Come on. What difference does a marriage certificate make anyway? We're going to take a look. In the last video, which you can check out here, we talked about the language of sex, that sex is meant to express divine love, that divine love is free, it's total, it's faithful, and it's fruitful. And this is exactly what a man and a woman commit to at the altar. They commit to love divinely. Have you come here freely? They say yes. Do you promise to give yourselves without reservation? They say yes. Do you promise to be faithful all the days of your life and receive children lovingly from God? The couple says yes. Sexual intercourse is then meant to be a physical expression of that kind of love. Sexual intercourse, as we unfolded in that last video, is meant to express and renew wedding vows. When we understand this, everything the Catholic Church teaches about sex clicks. When we don't understand this, it just seems like a bunch of arbitrary rules. And we end up saying, come on, a marriage certificate, it's just a piece of paper. What difference does it really make anyway? Years ago when I was teaching a marriage prep course, I remember a woman sitting in the front row. She was getting married in 3 weeks. And she said, come on, Christopher, what is the big difference between us having sex now and us having sex in 3 weeks after we get married? And I remember realizing, you know what? That's precisely the problem. There will be no difference. Here's the point. Sexual intercourse is meant to express and renew the marriage bond. It's meant to express and renew the wedding vows themselves. It's impossible for an unmarried couple to express and renew the marriage bond. And while getting married is a prerequisite to be able to express and renew the marriage bond, there's no guarantee that what the married people are doing in their bedroom is actually expressing and renewing the marriage commitment itself. The marriage commitment itself. In fact, John Paul II says in his book, Love and Responsibility, that the internal struggle of every marriage is precisely the struggle to make sex honest, to make the coming together in that intimate embrace a true expression and renewal of the wedding vows. John Paul II goes so far as to say that the language of sex is prophetic. What does he mean by that? Well, what's a prophet? A prophet is one who proclaims the truth about God. And that's what we're supposed to be doing with our bodies in the sexual embrace. We're supposed to be proclaiming God's free, total, faithful, fruitful love. But John Paul II goes on to say, we have to be careful to distinguish between true and false prophets. Because if we can speak the truth with our bodies, we can also speak lies with our bodies. Let me turn again to my book, Good News About Sex and Marriage. If you're enjoying this content, you can get yourself a copy of this book to go deeper and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Here's the point I want to make. Our bodies have a language, and our bodies speak that language whether the heart means it or not. We know this in our hearts. In fact, it even comes out sometimes in a Hollywood movie. Check this out. When did you stop caring? Asked Cameron Diaz's character of Tom Cruise in the psychological thriller Vanilla Sky. Caring about what? Tom Cruise's character asks. About the consequences of the promises you've made, she says. And then she reminds him, you've been inside me. That means something, she says. And then she demands, don't you know that when you sleep with someone, your body makes a promise, whether you do or not? Sometimes even Hollywood gets it right. This is exactly the point John Paul II is making in his Theology of the Body when he says our bodies are prophetic. The language of sex is the language of divine love. And our goal is to assure that what we're saying with our bodies, we mean with our hearts. Otherwise, let's be real, we're being sexually dishonest. honest. Do you like it when people lie to you? I don't. What does it mean to be sexually honest? It means we're learning the way of loving divinely. And there's a basic principle here that couldn't be more important. Loving divinely is not something we just try really hard to do. We don't have it in us to do that. You cannot give what you do not have. If we are to love divinely with our bodies, if we are to love divinely with our sexual choices and behaviors, then we must first be in the posture of receiving divine love into our bodies and into our sexuality, so that that is what we have to give. This is the sacramental life of the church. This is the life of prayer, learning how to open ourselves to that infusion of divine love. The more we let it in, the more it reworks the desires of our heart, the more it reworks our very passions and sexual yearnings, and molds them and shapes them in the direction of loving divinely. My brothers and sisters, the proposal is this. We can take it or leave it, but the proposal is this. We are made for divine love. We're not crazy. That's what the church is saying. We're not crazy when we desire to be seen and known and appreciated, not just as an object for someone's selfish pleasure, but for who we really are as men and women made in the image and likeness of God. The church is saying you are worth the real deal. What difference does a marriage certificate make? In itself, it's just a piece of paper, and that piece of paper doesn't change the world. But that piece of paper is an indication that there is a marriage bond between a man and a woman, established by the love of God itself. And sexual intercourse itself is meant to be the expression and renewal of that bond. I have so much more to unfold and share with you on this subject, and I do in the courses that I teach for the Theology of the Body Institute and in the exclusive content that we offer our patrons. Check out the links below to learn more about that. Until next time, may you come to know who you really are.